everybody, it's Di here from Di's Den. How are you going this week? This week I thought we would make a lovely little calendar, desk calendar for our friends and family and customers. So this is it. Isn't it gorgeous? I've used the Magnolia Lane paper here. This one is in the plain. I have left the paper as is. This one I've actually coloured the flowers in red using the blender pens, and I just think it looks absolutely gorgeous in both. And we have this tiny little pen here. Look at this. Aren't they gorgeous? And a post-it note, so they can now leave their little notes on their desk or in their office, whichever they may be. And a beautiful calendar that tears off for each month. Maybe we should ring our dates like our birthdays so that everybody knows. Anyway, so that's our card for today. Or well, it's not a card, that's our project for today. So there isn't any stamping today. How unusual for me. I guess you could put a little saying on there saying, you know, happy birthday, or you could put their name on there, you know, if you wanted to stamp that, if you've got letter stamps to do things like that with. But I'm just leaving them plain because I know who I'm going to be giving them to. So this is all we're going to need. It's a very, very tiny little piece. So we're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 11 inches by 4 inches and another piece of cardstock that measures 7 inches by 3.5 inches. And we're going to need 2 pieces of designer series paper, and in this case I've used in the mosaic one. I just think it looks pretty against that. Comes under the colours of Blushing Bride, and this is Mango Melody, but I think they go well together, so I'm using them that way. So this piece measures 3 3/4 by 3 inches, and this piece measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/4 inches. You're going to need a stamp note, which is a 3 by 3 one. I guess you could go a bit bigger if you wanted to. I think you'd probably get about 3.5 in there if you could get them that size. I don't know if you can. But these are 3 by 3. I picked these up in Cheap as Chips, which is a South Australian cheap shop. I don't know if they're nationwide or not, and you'll need some little pens, which I've got some little gel pens that I bought from Cheap as Chips again. These came in a pack of 8 for $1.50. They were so good value, and they actually write really lovely. You're going to need some little calendars. I bought these from an online craft shop called Crafts Online in Australia, so that's craftsonline.com.au. And then I have just a little heart sticking thing just out of my stash. So, and that's all we're going to need. As I say, these bits here are all, they're from Crafts Online, and those two are from Cheap as Chips. Now these came in a pack of 4 for $1.50 in 4 different colours, and the pens came in a pack of 8 for $3. Sorry, a pack of 8 for $3. So it can make a pretty cheap and cheerful gift. So let's get our scoreboard out and do all our scoring. So we're going to need our scoreboard. Let's move those out of the way a bit more so I don't damage them. And on our long piece, we're going to put it on the long side. I'll just see if I can put this in the picture a bit more. That's better. And on the long side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Oh my goodness, what's the matter with my scoring today? Okay, 1.5 inches and 2.5 inches. Oh my goodness, why am I going off? Must have a bit of dirt on my scoreboard. I'll have to check that out. And 6 3/4 inches. Let's have a look. No, let's turn that over. This is not going to show because of where they're going to be anyway. So, and that's all the scoring we're doing on our large piece. On our small piece, we're going to pop this in on the long side here, and we're going to score this, oh excuse me, I've got itchy nose, at 1/2 inch That's better. At 1 inch. At 5 inches, sorry. 5 inches. 5.5 inches. 6 inches. And 6.5 inches. So that's half, 1, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. We're going to turn it so that all the 4 score lines here are at the bottom. Excuse me. And we're going to score this again at 2.5 inches and at 3 inches. And that is all the scoring we're going to do. So let's move our scoreboard out of the way, and we will start by, we're going to fold and burnish this larger piece. So we're going to fold where there's like 1/2 inch, 1 inch, or 1.5 inch and 2.5 inch. We're going to start at the 6 3/4 inch, and we're going to fold that down, make sure that it joins up nicely on the sides, and we're going to fold and burnish that. When we turn it the other way, we're going to fold the furthest one in and make sure it folds up nice and neatly as well. The next score line here, we're going to fold it back. So making sure that it's nice and even on either side. We're folding that back towards yourself, and then the little score line at the bottom, we're folding back inside again. And that's the scoring on that one, all folded. Now we're going to pop a little bit of glue onto this flap here, this little bit. So let's pop the lid thing back in that one. And we're going to, pushing that down, we're going to pull that over, and we're going to marry that up on the end there so that it's nice and even on the 3 sides. And press that down and reinforce that down nice and neatly. And then we have, this is still a little bit damp, but there we have our beautiful stand. So depending on which side you want, I like to use the side with the join on it as my front, because it will be behind the pocket, so you don't see it at all. So we're going to now put our large piece of designer paper, which is the 3 3/4 by 3 inches. We're going to pop this onto this piece. Now isn't this paper so gorgeous on both sides? It's such a shame to cover it up, I think, but that's how we go. And we're going to pop this onto the front of here, leaving a nice border on 3 sides. So we're going to pop it close to the top, not close to the folding at the bottom. So we're going to pop it close to the top of that. And that we can pop that out of the way now, and that can sit there and dry for a minute while we do this piece. On our other piece, which has all these score lines at one end and 2 at the other, on the end where we have the 8 squares, so 2, 4, 6, 8 little squares here, we're going to cut away the first 6 squares. So cutting away the first 6 squares completely, and then on this end flap, we're going to just notch that in a tiny bit, and then we're going to, the 2 squares to the left, we're going to cut the bottom, the one at the end there off, and then with the other one we're going to notch it in and cut up to the next score line and notch it in. So that's one end done. On the other end, we're going to turn it around now. We have 4 squares here. We're going to cut the first 2 on this on the long side away. We're going to get rid of them. And then we're going to get rid of, out of the 2 that are left, we're going to get rid of the end one here again. And we're just going to notch this up a tiny bit as well on this end. We don't want to notch at the top, only at the bottom. So then we're going to do exactly what we did up here. We're going to cut down to the next score line and notch in and notch the other side. So our piece of, oh, that one didn't cut off, there we go. That's what our piece is going to look like now. So we've got 2 score lines on this end and 4 on this end, a little wedge off there and 2 little pieces here. So now we're going to just fold and burnish all these score lines, and they all fold and burnish the same way inwards. When I bought my calendars from Crafts Online, I think they were $6.95 for a pack of 10. So they're not very expensive at all. But I'm sure a lot of news agencies and things sell them as well. Okay, so now we're going to pop our piece of Designer Series paper on the front here. I didn't cut that the right length. Look at that. I cut that too long. So I'm going to have to cut this by hand. So what did I cut this at? 2.5, not 2 1/4. That looks better. Oops. Ouch, I stuck that in my finger instead of in the hole. That was very clever, wasn't it? And we're going to glue that onto the front of our little pouch, this piece. So now we're going to form the box. Excuse me, this has come a bit funny. So what we're going to do, let's pop that needle out of there again. Excuse me, we're going to put a bit of glue on this end flap, and we're going to bring this up and over to form the box. Can you see that? Did I do that on screen? I hope so. Okay, so let that set for a few seconds. If you've got red liner tape or tear and tape, you can do it with that. Anything that's really strong. I wouldn't suggest doing it with snail, because it's not very strong. We're going to put a little bit of glue on that one, and we're going to bring that around and fold that in too, making sure it's nice and square. And we're going to just hold that for a few seconds. Okay, then we're going to, on this end where we have the 4 pieces, we're going to put a little bit of glue on this end one, and we're going to wrap that around and around to make it into a square on little box on the end there. That little bit of glue is not going to hurt. And then we're just going to use something to put inside and just make sure it's nice and firmly down. Pencil or something. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to put a tiny little bit of glue on this end here and this end here to pull this bottom flap up and hold them into position. I find it easier to do it that way. I know you can't see what I'm doing very well, but I tend to find that that's the easiest way for me. So let's make sure that's nice and stuck hard. That's it. And now we're just going to put a bit more glue all the way down these 2 columns on the side and along the bottom one here. Now I'll put my needle back in, and we're going to line this up along this bottom edge here and the side edges. Once we're happy with where it's sitting, we'll then pop it down nice and straight and just make sure that it's sitting nicely, and give it a good press down And again inside the, inside the little top there. And there we have it. We have our little caddy made. Oh, I've got two of these here. What am I doing? So that's our little caddy made. How cute is our little caddy? Right? Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, look at that. I put the one lot one way and one lot the other way. Oh, and I actually like it like that. It looks gorgeous, I think. Okay, so now we're going to put a little bit of glue on the back of our calendar. Pop the lid back, pop the needle back in there, and we're going to position there on the front of our pocket here. Now, depending where you buy your calendars, they may be differing in size a little bit. In Australia, this seems to be the common size, but I'm not, you know, different places around the world, there could be different sizes. Okay, so that's our box. We've got our little heart here, which we're going to pop on the front, just up in this top corner here, just because I want to. You don't have to put anything up there. And then we have our post-it note, which is, that's the top, in here. And I always just check my pen, see if it works. Yep, it works fine. And our pen fits in here, and I hook him over the end. And there is our little post-it note. Now, how good was that? How cute is that? And it's so easy, and it's a good way of using up if you've got just small pieces of designer paper lying around, because you don't need a real lot. So it's one way of using up the little scraps of designer paper, and it's very cheap. As I say, I picked up a pack of 4 of these little post-it notes from Cheapest Chips for $1.50, 8 pence for $3, and it was a pack of 10 for $6.95, I think it was, from my calendars. So what do you reckon? Not bad. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's little gift towards our Christmas theme. Well, this will look nice on somebody's desk, I think, in their office or somewhere. It doesn't have to be a work office, it could be a home office. So I will see you again next week with another project. So bye for now.